We're good on mic check?
Yep.
All right.
Yo.
All right. You ready, Matt?
Yep.
You ready, JJ?
I'm ready.
Let's do it. All right. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Jab Journals. We're here at Jet Boxing and Fitness in Okemos?
And Okemos, yeah.
Okemos, Michigan.
Yeah.
We're here with the Jet himself, Justin Johnson. Justin's fighting at Causeway Hotel in Lansing, March 8th. He'll be main eventing that card, working with Carlos Linas. Justin, thanks for joining us today. How's camp been going, and then what are you doing to prepare for the fight?
Yeah, camp's been going really well. Training, like I said, anywhere from 10 to 12 times a week. I actually train here, and then I travel out to gym out in Saginaw as well. And camp's been going good as normal. I mean, I really never am out of camp, so it's just like another day in the office. I just basically pick up my training a little bit. Normally I'll train once a day, where I pick up my training about 2 times a day.
When you're in camp?
When I'm in camp, yeah, about 5 or 6 times a week.
Okay.
So normally it's anywhere from 10 to 12 workouts a week. So
Very cool,
Yeah.
very cool. And before we get into the beautiful gym we're in here, beautiful facility.
Thank you.
You said you've owned it for 5 years now?
Yep, 5 years, yep.
So what got you into and open up a boxing gym?
So honestly, it started off sneaking people into Planet Fitness. Growing up, I was always big into gyms. It was kind of a good outlet for me. Like growing up, I was in and out of a lot of trouble. So through working out, that kind of was a good outlet. I still ended up getting in trouble as I was younger, but as far as opening up the gym, I started by sneaking people into Planet Fitness. At the time, I was working 2 and 3 other jobs, and it just kind of grew bigger and bigger. So from there, I started working as a janitor. I tried getting a personal training job at Powerhouse here in East Lansing, and I wasn't good enough to be the personal trainer, I guess.
Right.
I sneak people after hours because I was the janitor, so I had a key to get in. So with that membership, I would just swipe people in and train them like from when no one was there, from like 8 to midnight or whatever like that. And I got one international student here at MSU, and next thing you know, it ended up turning into I was working with 30 international students. So I had a huge international student following, and then from Powerhouse, I didn't have 30 at that time, but I started working at Will Glass's gym. So that's Team Glass there out in the south side out of Lansing, and that's where I was training at the time. And it just got bigger and bigger and bigger, just snowballed, and now I think we got 12 or so employees here now. And
Nice.
Got a good system going on, a couple front desk ladies and stuff like that really kill it, and just a great team and great people around me, and it just keeps growing.
So real grassroots, starting from nothing.
I think we opened this, no joke. So Kelly she's my aunt, and she owns this building here, and long story, I had the business going, and I was actually going out to, you probably know Al Mitchell?
Yeah.
I went out there for roughly about 3 weeks to a month. We went up to Marquette, out in Marquette, Michigan. He trains out there, so we were out there for about a month, and I had my cousin take over my clients while I was working with Will Glass, and that was on the south side. But then his mom, that's Kelly, she owns this building, and then we started, which I'll actually have to show you guys, a spot down the hall, little 400 square foot spot there, and made it nice. And I brought my clients that I was working with Will's over here. She does estate sales, so we were able to pick up just a couple pieces of equipment, a couple dumbbells and stuff, and a treadmill, and that's kind of what we started with. You've got some mitts and kind of got it going, and now we get everything here now.
Yeah,
so
nice. So was all your when you started personal training at the Powerhouse, was it all focused around boxing workouts, or was it?
Yeah, pretty much for the most part boxing. We had a lot of people who wanted to come just to get in better shape, so I was creating meal plans and stuff like that. Had a lot of success with people losing weight and just getting overall healthier and stronger. Teaching people a little bit about macros and things like that. So yeah, it's been great, man.
Yeah,
it's been great. A lot of personal training is too, man. Being able to have someone buy into you and building that relationship with them to keep them committed. Because at the end of the day, it's a commitment that people are making to themselves and their body. The biggest problem with people is they're not understanding what they're putting in their body.
Right.
And if you're only working out once a week, but you're messing up and eating like shit 6 times a week, you're not going to see no progress, right? So with them getting in here, working out's a small part of it. It's creating those habits at home and creating the lifestyle at home that you get overall change and you get a lifestyle change.
And it's in the name of the occupation, right? Personal training.
Yeah,
you gotta get
100%.
personal with the client.
It's personal, man.
You have to be invested in their growth as well, so that you can grow, right?
Personal training is all about creating a friendship at the end of the day. It really is what it is, creating a great relationship, and you're basically a role model for their fitness journey.
Yeah.
And an overall lifestyle change.
Right. So obviously the reason we're here for the interview is boxing. So how does that all turn into a boxing gym and a professional boxing career.
Yeah, so when I started this gym in 2019, and I started my amateur boxing career, I started in 2016, and I started training in 2015. And so I opened the gym in 2019, and it just grew. COVID obviously happened, so I lost everybody. And during that time, I was heavily fighting. I was fighting probably at least once to 2 times, maybe a month, in the amateur scene, doing tournaments and things like that. So I ended up getting about 35 amateur fights, and learning during that time, big growing period mentally. And, you know, up until about 2018, I was still getting in a little bit of trouble. Like, so I got locked up and in and out of jail growing up, and obviously kicked out of a couple of schools and stuff like that. And, you know, so I always wanted to fight growing up, and my mom always told me, you know, if you can stay out of trouble out of school stay out of getting in trouble for a month, we'll go ahead and we can start boxing. And that just never happened. So when I did turn, I think I turned 17 or 18 at that time, and I finally had just gotten released because I had a case that was kind of going on that I had to turn myself in. I got out, then turned myself again because I had got a scholarship to go play football at Adrian College. And that didn't pan out too much because I was still getting in trouble out there. But eventually through channeling, kind of like I said, embrace the crazy, and kind of channeling that anger that I had going on, because I was angry as a young kid. Yeah. I was diagnosed bipolar and kind of had a lot of mental struggles and like different problems like in the household and stuff like that kind of bothered me, that I didn't realize bothered me when I was younger. And through boxing, man, I just kind of started finding myself, and through the gym. And I think what I don't think clients understood is, like, when I was training with them, yes, I'm giving them, you know, health benefits and things like that, but then I started getting high quality clients, like where they're very successful entrepreneurs themselves, or I got quite a few people from like MSU. So we're always picking each other's brains for different things, right? They're coming to me for fitness, and meanwhile, I'm getting educated on life and how I should live my life and things like that. And that's kind of what transformed me into who I am today.
So boxing and fitness was just your outlet and the way to channel your energy into something good.
Yeah.
Kind of like what we were talking about off camera. You know, a lot of your merchandise has embraced your crazy.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know, you kind of started with it, but dive into that a little bit and how that kind of idea came up.
Yeah. So I think everybody has a crazy, you can say a crazy side to them, where they have like especially anyone who competes and who's really pushing to try being great. I think you have to channel that inner crazy, or that second personality in yourself, you know, when you're training or when you're going through these tough times, because boxing is a super lonely sport. A lot of it's one-on-one sport.
Absolutely.
Like, you're running hundreds of miles out there by yourself. A lot of the training, yes, you're training with a coach here and there, but a lot of training is done by yourself too. Like, you got to be a very committed and disciplined individual to do
Absolutely.
that. And I think what's helped me through that is, like, man, when I'm running, man, I'm talking shit to myself, talking my shit to myself, hyping myself up. Like, you got to be your biggest cheerleader. And eventually, you know, I did that isolated for such a long time. And, you know, now I'm getting spotlight from it now that I'm professional. And, like, we got a lot of people coming out to the fights, and, you know, it's, hey, JJ, this and that. But, you know, at the end of the day, it all has to start with you. You have to have that belief in yourself. And that's where, you know, you can have everybody else believe in you all you want. But if you don't truly believe in yourself, you're never going to go anywhere. And that's a lot of people's problems.
You know, I think a lot of people struggle with fighters in general, boxing, MMA, whatever combat sport you're in. You know, they say like fighters are cocky, and I think there's that line you gotta toe. But in boxing, in any if you're not stepping into that ring, that cage, whatever, thinking you're the baddest MNFer on the planet, what are you in there for?
You're in the wrong sport if you don't think that way, you know. And through all that training, you know, you got to think about it this way. These fighters are, you know, it's their whole job. They're putting anywhere from 5 to 6 hours, like at a professional level, 5 to 6 hours of training in a day. Everything, their whole life is designated toward boxing. And the reason why it is because they're only more and more confident in what they're doing. Just like when we're here doing this podcast. The more podcasts you do, the, you know, more confident you're going to be in your podcast. The numbers are going to grow and everything's going to climb. It takes years of doing that. But they didn't just start off like, and people get the word cocky for confidence, you know, they're confident fighters. And,
right, that's the line I'm talking about.
That is the line, and you have to be. You know, if you think I'm going to get in there March 8th and get knocked out, you're crazy. I wouldn't be getting in there. You know what I mean?
If you
I'm going to go knock that dude out, period.
You know, like kind of like what we touched on there is like that. There's that line, and you got to go over it sometimes.
You do.
You got to be cocky.
Yeah, you do.
Or you don't, or you're proving you don't have belief in yourself. That's how I've always felt about it. Obviously, you know, you have made boxing your whole life. Look at the gym. Look at you know all your socials are promoting the fight or promoting your gym. So how does that balance come about between small business gym owner, professional fighter, and where's that line mesh?
And I mean, there really is no line with it, you know. And there's times, man, I love it. You know what I mean? I'm going crazy with it. And then there's other times, man, like you got to really pick yourself out of bed to get to the gym just for the fact. I mean, and you're not gonna love it every single day. You know, I would say 50% of the time you hate it. You know, I'm a big motivational speaker guy, so I listen every morning and throughout the day. I'll listen to motivate anytime I'm like doing the dishes, folding laundry, or if I'm in the shower, you know, I'm listening to motivation. I'm listening, like I got ET here, David Goggins, you know, some different boxing motivational videos and things like that. But where was I even going with all this? But shit.
You're just saying you're a big motivational guy.
Yeah. So with that, you gotta have that, like we were talking about the belief, but all that comes through the training, the self-talk that you're doing to yourself, and the different things that you're doing. Yeah.
You know, it's funny, like, you know, the embrace your crazy. Like, I really relate to that because, you know, like you said, you're running, you're shadow boxing by yourself, and you're talking shit to yourself in your own head.
100%.
You know, like, oh, that jab was weak, you know, got to snap, or like, you know, that mile was slow, let's bump it up, you know what I mean? But you need that second personality, if you will, man, to push you through the training and get you through training camp, especially, you know.
I'll even personally find things about, like, if I train at the MAC as well, too. I have a couple different gym memberships, and I'll find things about other people running across from me or something that I hate about them or something, and they push me more. Like, I'll just be like, in my head, and I'll be enjoying it, you know. I think it's like always making things look easy, even though it's tough, you know, doing it with a smile on your face.
Right.
It's huge, too.
So I don't normally go through like a story about myself. So when I was training, we did a 5K out in Ann Arbor. Yeah. And the last 50 yards were on like U of M field and big house and all that, you know, grow up being a Michigan fan, that's huge for me, right? So I'm running and I'm thinking I'm going a pretty good pace, and here comes this like 7-year-old man. And he's just like a turtle, but like he's passing me. I'm like, oh shit. So I'm 17, best shape of my life, right? Yeah. So I sprint past him, like, all right, I got that old motherfucker. Yeah. And that's the guy I focused, like, I got to beat that guy. Oh, yeah. And of course, the last 50 yards, we were neck and neck. Yeah. I edged him out, but I had to, right? You know? But there's that voice in your head telling you that you got to beat someone's ass, right? Yep. So let's, you know, before we get into March 8th, obviously the big fight coming up, you know, you said you had the 35 amateur fights and you decided to turn pro. Yeah. What was that decision like, and was it an easy one for you?
I thought it ended up being a pretty easy decision for me, and the reason is like I have had a lot of stuff going on with this, so I ended up fighting. Like I said, I was super busy from about 2016 to 2019 till COVID. COVID ended up happening. I think I had my last fight, not my last fight as an amateur, but last like busy season as a amateur at right before COVID happened. It was like a week before COVID happened. And during COVID, I decided, you know, I kind of pushed through and I kept the gym, the lights on here, and kept growing the gym. But to get back to your topic, basically the amateurs, I was like, man, I can't just keep doing this for amateurs. Like, I got a lot of stuff here. We're doing really well. We're growing as a business. Like, it's time to make this a real deal and go pro. And it was pretty clear cut, easy. I knew I was sparring against a lot of pros. I have a lot of big names that come through here from the Michigan area that I was sparring against, and I'm like, man, I'm hanging with them, and you know, we got to make that. I got to make that move.
Yeah, like you were talking, like, don't be afraid of name drop. I mean, you know, Joey Spencer, you're training with Joey Spencer, Chaos Williams.
Chaos Williams. I have my best friend Mondo. Trying to think, Rel, Edro Holmes. Yeah.
So you spar with top amateurs, top pros in Michigan. So you knew you could hang. Yeah.
Since basically 2019, 2018, I've been sparring with them. You know. Yeah. Pushing myself to be the best. I think you got to kind of getting back to what we were talking about with you and the 60-year-old man, but you know, you got to train with great people, man, to push you, you know, to that next level. Right. You know, if you're training with people who suck, I mean, you're going to suck too.
It's that whole, and I've mentioned a bunch of times on the podcast, that iron sharpens iron.
Yeah, like, exactly.
If you're training with guys you know you can beat up in sparring every day, you're not learning anything. You're not growing, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, you know, how hard is it to with those guys now that they have such busy schedules? Like, how hard is it to schedule training with them or sparring with them?
It's honestly not bad, because that's what they do. This is all they do. Honestly, it's probably a little bit tougher. And my schedule's pretty light too, as far as like working with clients here at the gym now. But as far as managing the gym, it's probably a little bit harder for me to get to their schedule more than anything. But we make it happen. Normally we all have pretty lax schedules that everything's just devoted around training, so it's pretty easy to make it happen.
Yeah. So now, you know, you've hit your pro career. hit the ground running. Like we talked off camera, you've had your 6 fights within a year and a half of each other, right?
Yep.
That's a pretty busy pace.
Yep.
Is that by design or by luck, or is that how you wanted to attack this?
Honestly, I get bored, man. I'm always training. I'm like, man, we might as well fight. So normally about every 3 months we try getting something going again. I think this one was about 4 months I had off. But yeah, after I'm back in the gym right after the fight, so I enjoy training. Training's a part of my lifestyle. For about a month after the fight, I'll go down, like I said, just training once a day, because I kind of during that month I'm like, okay, let's kick the gym up a notch just a little bit. Let's get those things going, and I'm gonna pay a little bit more attention here. And then when camp gets started, we know something's coming up. About 3 months out, we're already getting ready again. So
so going into your first pro fight, you said you had 35 amateur fights.
Yep.
Kind of explain to like maybe the fans, like what was the difference between like your pro debut and like your amateur fights?
Honestly, the biggest thing I'd say was the support. In the amateurs, you go, how it is. You go to these empty gym arenas. There's maybe 50 to 100 people there max, and
most of them are your family, right?
Yeah, honestly, and this was a big struggle I had with in the amateurs, is like honestly the self-belief in myself, me thinking I'm worthy of fighting some of these guys, because like in my amateurs I fought a lot of tough dudes. Come like very quick, I started fighting tough guys at 6-7 fights, right as I turned open. And me believing in myself that I'm at that level to be able to fight with them. And I was, but I wasn't here. You know what I mean? Talent-wise, I 100% was. But here I wasn't there, And I think through those amateur fights, and honestly even through the gym and everything I've done, and me realizing how much work I put in compared to everybody else, like no one's putting out the content, no one's putting on the workouts that I'm doing.
Right.
Like they're just not working like I am, man. I do not stop working. I sleep 3-4 hours, 5 hours sometimes a day, and get right back to it, and my day does not stop.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure between running the business and training for camp.
Oh yeah, man, it's nonstop. I'm in the gym about 3 times a day, nonstop working. If I'm not there, I'm here, helping out with clients and trainers here, or promoting the fight or promoting the business. Yeah.
So you brought up something I wanted to touch on. So you fought on a couple cards in Detroit under Carlos Linas. Your last few fights have been up here in Lansing at Causeway Bay.
Yep, Causeway Bay. Yep.
So what was that like, and how did the partnership with Carlos kind of come about?
The partnership with Carlos, I actually, a good friend of mine, Mandeep, he's actually the owner of Weaver's Boxing Gym down there in Dearborn. And so I had my pro debut. We had a great support out there. Carlos really liked the show I put on. And man, that was probably, I would say that's the best. This last fight I had was great too, but my pro debut was something else, man.
Yeah.
I had a great support out there, and all of them were all like front row. And man, they were turned for me to knock that dude out. So it was a real good time. And from there, Carlos just kind of seen, that I had something different about me. And then, I was like, man, we can definitely do something here in Lansing. So I combined Carlos and Pete together, and we ended up kind of promoting something here at the Causeway Bay. And it went well the first time. So the second time around, which was just in November, we did something January. I think it was January 27th of last year out at the Causeway. And it was a good showing. And then immediately fought where you would see me out there in March. Mm-hmm. I fought out in Linden at Joey Spencer's spot, and then we came back to the Causeway, my last fight, and it was a lot better even this last fight. So I'd say we probably doubled in what we'd done the last fight. So it was a good time, real good time. And then also on top of that, obviously picking up the competition and stuff too. So it was a good fight. I got cut in the second round, which made it even more fun. We had a little clash of heads, and everyone kind of added a little drama to the fight. So people loved it.
Was that your first time being cut in a fight?
Actually, I had 2 fights in a row. I had a small little cut under my eye when I fought out in Linden at Joey's spot, and then I just got cut from 2 clash of heads. One on this eye, one on the other eye. So never got cut ever before in my career. I'm like, damn.
I'll tell you, for people that have never experienced it, being headbutted, it sucks. It's worse than a punch because you don't expect it. Yeah. And then you just got the doc looks at you and says, all right, that's from a headbutt. Fight. That's it. Yeah. There's no break.
And honestly, it wasn't even the clash of heads didn't hurt, but you immediately, it was just the first time. I'm like, dude, that definitely, I'd never been cut before. And I'm like, damn, that definitely just split my fucking eye, and blood started rushing. I'm like, fuck. But this one was honestly bothering me the whole fight, because I think that happened in the second round as well. And there was a moment in time during that fight for 30 seconds I couldn't even see out my left eye. But the last one, dude, my coach killed it. he was a real G and got it taped up real quick.
Good
And
cut,
had
man.
no,
Yeah, it
yeah,
goes a
no
long
problem
way.
with it all.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. So, you touched on something else, stepping up in competition, making a gradual step up every fight. That's
Yeah.
a main focus for you in your
Oh,
career.
100%. Right? Yeah, I want to get guys in there who are battle tested and guys who are going to be, tough competitors and put me through it, and have to go the distance and be in there and fight, or get them out in a hard way, and they're coming to bang. They're not coming to lay down,
Right.
So, and that's what I want.
And this next fight, is it scheduled for 6 or 8?
Six rounds. Yep.
So, I mean, but you see a lot of guys that maintain that 4-round fight for
Yeah.
a good portion of the first
they do,
10 or 12 fights.
Yeah.
But moving on to the 6 rounds, is that a big deal for you to kind of show
honestly,
that you
man,
can do that?
I had fun in that last 6-round fight, man. And
Yeah.
I just kind of test yourself more, right? We're doing this to test yourself,
Right.
and I think that's what it's all about is, to prove that you're the best.
Yeah.
So stepping up the competition, making it more difficult on yourself to do the 6 rounds. Because that's more of a mental thing, checking that, I can do the 6. And I felt great during the 6. I thought I had a great time. As the rounds went on, I felt better and better.
Yeah. Now, this next fight, stepping up in competition again, guy that I think he has 15 professional fights.
Yep.
Been around the block,
Yes.
fought some prospects and stuff like that. How do you prepare for someone, if you don't see a lot of tape on them, or do you have a lot of tape on this guy?
Yeah, we don't have much tape on this guy, but his biggest thing is what I see. Actually, I won't even say that.
That's
but
fine. Yeah,
we're gonna get him up out of there. So I think we got a good game plan put together for him, in the early rounds, and then start sitting down on some shots in the later rounds. So I'm real excited for it.
Yeah.
So I got a great team behind me.
Yeah, and fighting like close to your hometown.
Yeah,
got a lot, what's it like to fight in front of like your friends and family and stuff like that, and be able to show them what you can do?
It's electric, man. I mean, and my people come and show out. I think the biggest thing in boxing nowadays, and I think we've seen it, back in the day, you look at fights back in like the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, even into the 90s, man, the fans are really into it. And I think MMA kind of took that spark away from boxing.
Yeah.
And these boxers don't have that it factor about them no more, or really have the fans behind them that get rowdy and just like that. Like you see these MMA shows, man, these fans are going crazy.
There's
you know
as
what I mean?
many
And
fights in the stands as
what
there's
we
in the
want.
cage.
Yeah, 100%. And honestly, at my last fight, you got people hollering, screaming, like, "Be his ass, JJ!" Like that's boxing. You know what I mean? And I think that we've kind of lost that in the boxing scene, and I think it's due to possibly a little bit of MMA, and I also think it's how they push and promote their fighters nowadays.
Right.
So I think fighters being a little bit more vocal, talking a little bit more shit, I think it makes it fun, makes it entertaining. That's what people want to see.
Yeah.
People want to see people get into fights at the weigh-ins. People want to see that type of stuff. People want to see a little talking shit. People want to see people going toe to toe.
Right. Yeah, they don't want.
People are scared of that. The Floyd Mayweather effect. One of the greatest of all time. But him having that O, and people are like scared to lose that O and get there and really bang.
Yeah, I think that's really important. What you touched on there is that a lot of people do protect their O for so long, and then they get their first big fight, on a big card or a big undercard or something like that, and then they just kind of lose it in the lights. If you're not used to stepping up in competition, when you finally do, it's a big, and you might be ready.
Yeah.
But not mentally.
Not mentally, 100%.
And I
exactly.
think you've touched on a lot, and kind of talk on that. The mental part of this game is just as important as the physical.
Mental part is 90% of this game. I've seen some guys that aren't even that talented, man, but are mentally just strong.
Yeah.
And they go on there mentally bulletproof, as I would say, and they can go in there and put in work because they ain't scared to go stand in there and go toe to toe. Yeah, some of these guys mentally weak, and you can break them, and that's what happens.
Yeah. A lot of people when I was coming to find the big name at the time was K9. He had just won the world title.
Yeah, yep.
He did not have your traditional
not
career
at
in
all.
boxing.
Not
he
at all.
started real late.
Yep.
Bounced around local club shows for a long time. Then finally, training with Emmanuel Stewart, and out of Kronk. Definitely helped him get a bigger fight.
Yeah.
And then he just took that and ran with it.
Yep.
And eventually won a world
But he
title.
was mentally here. He embraced his crazy throughout his career. He still does,
Yeah. I can't. He barks every time.
Oh,
I see him.
yeah.
I can't tell you how many people are like, he's going to lose this fight. He's not that good.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. He's only got, the jab in the right hand. That's really all. But that's all he needed.
That's all he needed.
And he knew in his, I think you need to know your limitations too, right? You can't go in there and be like, I'm gonna outbox a boxer, I'm gonna outfight a brawler. Like you gotta know what you're good at, right?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
And you gotta fight I think you gotta be in this game. I think you gotta be really well rounded. Even K9, like he only did a couple things well, but he could defend himself, and he was a tough guy, just tough in general. And that obviously that played a factor in his career as well too. But you got to know what you're strong at, and you also got to try being as well-rounded as possible as well.
Right. What do you think? Just talk about yourself a little bit. What do you think your strengths are in the ring?
I'm a pressure fighter, so I would say I am a pressure fighter, but I'm developing to be more of a boxer. Thinking a little bit, obviously become more of a defensive fighter. As an amateur, I was just nonstop coming forward in your face. Like, I'm a really good runner, and I push myself. As far as like my conditioning is on a whole nother level than a lot of these boxers, and so I'd always try using that to my advantage, and I still do. But it's doing it in the right ways as a pro, because the pro style is a little bit slower, and I think that you can't get caught up into the amateur nonstop style. You have to be able to sit on shots and things like that. So that's all something we've been developing. But I would say I'm all around just a good boxer, pressure fighter. Yeah. Letting it away. I'm the jet style.
Yeah.
That's what I am. Yeah. The jet style.
Yeah.
Making your style. I'm the jet style.
Right. So take me like how working with your coaches and stuff, how have you developed as a professional? How do you feel yourself developed from your first fight till now?
I think that we've added a lot of different things. So I've actually added Coach Joe Mendez out of Gideon Boxing, out of Saginaw. Dude's just a wizard with just like, he's young guy. I think Coach Joe is only 27, 28, but studies the game like no other, man. I've never seen someone watch and break down as much film as he does. And he's, helped me. We actually do shadow boxing Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We just do like a 15-minute session, nothing crazy in the mornings, 15 to 20 minutes, and we'll sit and just like drill stuff, because I think there's a lot of times too where you just got to slow things down.
Just shadow boxing, right?
Just shadow boxing.
I can't tell you how much I love that. Continue.
Oh, because dude, so many people like think they need to be on the mitts and doing all this cool things, man, but basics wins fight, period. But I think something that's really developed is my footwork and being creative using angles. So that's something that we're looking forward to even develop more and more. Just my wisdom as far as just being smarter and becoming a better defensive fighter, like with my main coach, Coach Antonio Urista. You may know him.
Yeah,
he fought. So he's my head coach. He's fought some big names as well, and he fought as an amateur for a while too. Super knowledgeable guy, great guy, always got my back and stuff too. And we're in here 3-4 days a week as well with him. So then I go out to Saginaw as well. But just good people around me, man. Good people that got my back, and I think really believing in your team and the people you have around them people that you have around you is super important.
Yeah, I want to talk about the 15-minute shadow boxing drill, because I love that so much. Because I remember my trainer used to take me down to Kronk, the old Kronk down in Detroit, and Tommy Hearns was in there one night, and he was retired, but still his son was training, and he got in the ring, and I'm pretty sure he was just trying to stay in shape, but the first 3 rounds was just 1-2 shadow boxing.
Oh yeah.
And he was by himself just doing his thing, and I asked my coach, I'm like, is he just old and that's all? And he's like, no, he did that when he was training for this world champion, that one, and that's a 7-time world champion, just practicing the basic combination. You know what I mean? Just every day, just to get. Yep. You get your basics down, and then you just grow from there.
Yes, people try being way too flashy. People try doing all this other stuff, and they get lost in the sauce, and they never create no real skill or no real foundation, I guess you could say. And I think me being able to coach and train people from a beginning level really helps keep me grounded as well, too, with just the basics. Because, when you first start off, that's all I'm teaching people, man. And I'll keep it slow with them, especially when I have them as a one-on-one. I mean, we're doing line drills, and we're just learning basically how to step in position and things like that. And I'm also a big believer as well. So obviously the shadow boxing, but footwork as well. Yeah. Everything starts with the feet. Being able to control the different distances and things like that is super, super important. And I don't think too many people are too knowledgeable, but I think boxing starts with the feet. Starts with position and balance. Which all starts with your feet. Yeah. A lot of people don't have the elite level. You'll see, you can see that at the elite level, their footwork is on a whole nother different level than some of the class B and C fighters. And then you see that same thing with MMA. Yeah. And there's even a bigger gap with that. You see some of these stars, their striking's on a whole nother level compared to like the B and C fighters.
Right. And we talked about Floyd Mayweather off camera.
Yes.
I've seen training videos of him just standing perfect distance away from a big bag and just throwing his jab as fast as he can for rounds. Not like 1 round, 2 round, like 5, 6, 7 rounds.
Exactly.
Just to get that basic stuff. And I think that gets lost, like you kind of said, lost in the sauce with these younger guys and these guys that just, Floyd did it. Yeah, I can do it.
You see the YouTube videos and the clips of them doing all the cool flashy stuff, but you don't see them doing just the nitty gritty, like stepping in position and just throwing a straight 1-2 on the bag for 2 hours straight.
So, we've talked about a few, professional fighters locally, but is there anyone that you kind of look up to in the ring or try to maybe not emulate, but take some of their style and put it into yours?
I would say for sure Caleb Plant. He's my favorite fighter right now.
Yeah.
I love how he, talks his shit. He's down. He stands on business, and he's down to fight anybody. I think he's one of the more entertaining guys, honestly, in the game. Real good style. Slick boxer, not as much of a puncher, but just real slick, man.
Yeah.
Real slick guy. I like the way he fights. I'd like to add a little bit more to what he does, but yeah, he's one of the guys I definitely look up to. Smart guy.
I think he's a really smart fighter.
Yes, I do too. And I think he puts his heart out there in the ring. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he's balls out. He puts it all out there, and he fights real game guys. You know?
Right.
He's not one who, it's funny when you see all these people, and I'm sure you see it on Instagram, but people are ducking man. This man don't duck no smoke.
Right.
So.
Well, the thing about him is what I like about him is I think he knows his limitations.
Yes.
And B, more than anyone I can really think of, at least at his he definitely fight A-level talent, but he's it's just a step below those guys.
Yes.
But he flirts with that line of cocky and confidence to where he can compete with those guys because he has such high belief in himself.
Yeah, 100%.
And like we said, that's a big part
and
of
he's must-see
boxing.
TV, too. People love watching him fight.
Yeah.
So whether you like him or hate him because he's talking some shit, but yeah, he's must-see.
He's always entertaining.
Yeah.
Definitely. And that's something that you strive to be, right? Always be entertaining 100%. For the fans. So kind of let's talk about the fight night now. Your main event in the card, hometown.
Yep.
What do you got for the fans? What are you going to show the fans that night?
I was just going to show them what I've been working on these last 3 months, man. I mean, we had a great performance last time. I'm excited. This guy is going to be durable, tough dude. So I'm going to have to work to get him out of there, and I'm excited for that challenge. And that's what pushes me, And that's another thing with picking up the competition, man. If you keep fighting cans all the time, man, you're going to have no drive to stay in the gym,
right.
So me always up in the competition, man, drives me to push me to do more and more and more. But fight night, man, you're going to see a show. I'm excited to put on a show. I mean, fireworks. I think there's a lot of good fights on the card, not just myself. I think my fight will be a good fight. I think you got Justin Lacey Pierce. It'll be a good fight. Not sure who else is 100% on the card, but I know I talked to Carlos, and there's a couple other good guys on the card as well with good matchups. But expect a great fight.
It's a pro-am card too, right?
We're working on that right now.
Okay.
We're working on trying to finalize if we can get the amateur thing sanctioned or not. So
gotcha.
The reason why is because they got 2 other club shows going on that day, and I guess not enough help. So.
Yeah, it's hard to find the referees and all that stuff. That's what you're talking about. You need like an hour break between because you got to switch from the amateur refs and doctors to the professional.
Yep. So if we made it an actual true pro-am card, there wouldn't have to be no break. It's just basically so you have to basically pay for the amateur fights. That's how that works, and the different insurances.
Yeah. So is that something that you have to deal with too? Like you have to juggle that stuff?
So yeah, definitely. Yeah, 100%. Making the calls now to kind of get that stuff figured out and get that stuff in motion. Like the last fight, I did all the matchmaking and stuff for that. Pulled the insurance and the sanction and stuff for that, and just helping promote and get all that stuff set up.
So you're wearing a lot of hats for this card. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome, man. Bringing boxing to like a town that hasn't had a big pro in a long time.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So, that's awesome to see. Get the local fans involved, obviously. Before we sign off here, we're gonna cut the show here in a little bit. Is there any socials or anything you want to shout out so the fans can find you?
Yeah, definitely, guys. You guys can check me out on Instagram and TikTok at @thejet_JJ, and then I think it's also the same on YouTube as well. @thejet_JJ.
Yeah. All right. Well, Justin, thanks for your time, man. We look forward to March 8th. We're going to try to get out there and get some footage over there too. So that does it for this episode, Jab Journals, guys. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to this episode. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram, all under Jab Journals, and we'll see you on the next one.